Hello, everyone. Welcome to NLP and the Coronavirus Day 32. Every time I do one of these, I kind of think about the previous one that last night, wasn't it fantastic with Gavin? And also, I'm talking to people every day. I'm talking to clients, I'm talking to students, I'm talking to friends, I'm talking to family. And I watch the news. I don't normally watch the news, but I am doing it at the moment. And I kind of like tune in and go, what would be, particularly when it's one where I'm on my own, like tonight, what would be a good theme? What would be good content? And I think that I'm hearing a lot from people is, I'm hearing from people that they're doing their hard breathing every morning, they're practicing their peripheral vision, they're doing their havening, and then they're getting disappointed with themselves. At best, annoyed with themselves that they have what they might call a meltdown or a tantrum or an outburst of negative emotions. So I just want to talk about that. Gavin and I think we said it last night before we went live last night. We were having a chat, and Gavin was saying that he was finding things really tough. And he asked me, "How are you finding it?" I'm going like, mate, the same. So here's just let's just get a perspective on this. Forget the positive thinking, forget every cloud has a silver lining, etc., etc., etc. The situation currently here in the UK, and I'm sure wherever you are watching this in the world, it's the same, is shit. The situation is shit. Let's just level that playing field, shall we? Yes, do we want to use our skills to stay in a good, a positive state and all those kind of things? But externally, it's crap, right? So, I use this metaphor a lot when I'm doing my live trainings, particularly when I'm teaching timeline therapy and mental emotional release. The thing you got to realize is that with everything that's going on at this point in time, your glass is full. With everything that's going on, with stuff that's coming out in the news, you might have family members that are seriously ill. You might have had family members that have passed away. You might be on your own for the longest time you've ever been in your life. You might be with your housemates, flatmates, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and had absolutely no time on your own for the longest time you've had in your life. You might be with your kids for the longest time you've ever had since you've had them. Your glass is full. So I wouldn't need to add very much more to this glass for it to overflow. So when you have these meltdowns, when you have these, outbreaks or mood swings or whatever it is, that's what it is. The glass is full. And it doesn't matter, how much NLP or timeline therapy or mental emotional release or hypnosis or HUNA, be realistic, I've been practicing personally NLP, timeline therapy, mental emotional release, hypnosis, and HUNA for 27 years. And this is tough, all right? So let's just get through this and realize that's what it is, Yes, your hard breathing, your havening, your hakalau is going to help. It's going to enable you to manage that. And great that some of you are doing that every day. But, what a lot of people are doing is they're doing it first thing in the morning and then going, right, I've done it now. I do that with my exercise. I do, it's like with Llewellyn Davis, when we did our live a good few weeks ago now, said, he starts the day with his exercise. And he goes, because that puts me into a really good state. Brilliant. I do too. I do it for another reason. One, it's done. So I know I don't need to do it again. Now, the mental and emotional things that we're talking about, yes, they set you up for the day, but you might need them during the day if something happens, like one of your kids goes and spills everything all over the floor, you have an argument with your partner, or, you get some other bad news, or, whatever it may be. So, each of those techniques, the heart breathing, the hakalau, and the havening, you can do at any point in the day when you're not feeling in a great state, okay? And the first thing to do is to be kind to yourself. If you have a wobble, as Gavin and I were talking about last night, a wobble, yeah? Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down was one of the catchphrases, advertising catchphrases when I was a kid. And what causes you not to fall down is the havening, the heart breathing, and hakalau, peripheral vision. Now, here's another thing that is happening at the moment, which I think is an important thing for people to realize. So tonight's more of an educational thing rather than a specific technique or process. It's more about, reassuring you that you are okay and you're in a good place. Because I know a lot of people going like, is there something wrong with me? Whatever. No, you're okay. You're good. Yep. The environment has changed dramatically. Please realize that. I know that we're starting to get used to it, and it's becoming a new normal for some people, which great. And it is a dramatic shift, and it's shifted a particular thing that I want to talk to you about tonight, which comes from Huna. There are a number of laws in Huna, which are called the assumptions of Huna, or the presuppositions of Huna, or the laws of Huna. And one of them is the law of cycles and rhythms. So the universe and our world and our life is built around cycles and rhythms. There's a cycle of day and night. As the sun goes around, or the earth goes around the sun more correctly, there is the cycle of the moon, which determines the months. And then there's the cycle of the years and all of those kind of things, which are the cycles which are determined by the solar system, if you like. Yeah. That bigger environment. But then there are also the cycles of you get up, you get dressed, you go to work, you leave the house, and then you come home, and then you do some other things, and the cycle of going to sleep, and then that cycle will repeat, and that cycle will repeat for 5 days for most people, and then it would stop, and there'd be a different cycle. It's called the weekend, and then those 5-day cycles would take up again until maybe you took some time off and you went on holiday. What's happening in the coronavirus is many of those cycles have been disrupted. That we've still got day and night, we've still got the moon going around the earth, and we've still got months and those kind of things. We've still got the seasons from a month's point of view, from a monthly point of view, if we chunked up on, days, weeks, months, seasons, years. But many of our other cycles have been disrupted. Now, I don't know about you, but, how is the week differentiated from the weekend at the moment? For many people, it's not. I've been training and speaking at the weekends for the last 27 years. So I've found that transition a little bit easier than some other people. But, a lot of people just sort of like, okay, I go to work 5 days a week, and then I'm at the weekend. Yeah. That cycle's been disrupted. Maybe some of you have the cycle of, right, okay, I get the kids up, I get the kids dressed, I get the kids fed, I take them to school. Now I'm on my own for a while. Then I go and pick the kids up, bring them back, and cycles. Yeah. And consistent cycles. And consistent cycles create stability. They create certainty. It's like, what time is it? Right, this is what I go and do now. And all of that's been disrupted. Even for me, last night, for no particular reason, I hardly got any sleep at all. But the night before, I slept for like 12, maybe 14 hours. What's that about? Because the whole cycles are shifted around. So if you're feeling like unsure or uncertain, or you don't know what day it is, or what you're going to do next, today I woke up and I thought, what am I going to do today? Oh, I'm going to do this. And I went, this is like Groundhog Day, if you remember that movie with brilliant movie with Bill Murray in it. Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day. It's like, wow, this is like yesterday. It's like the day before. It's like the day before that, and it doesn't make any difference that it's Saturday. I'll do the same again. What are you going to do tonight? I think I'm going to stay in. So all of these things are what's disrupting your cycles and rhythms, your natural biorhythms, and they will have an impact on you beyond everything else that's happening too. Okay. Now, I always like to think about what can we do about this and what's some action that we can take. Okay. So, a number of people have been contacting me because they're experiencing anxiety, fear, panic, whether it's about themselves, whether it's about their job, their career, whether it's about their business, whether it's about a family member that's not well, or they can't go and see, or any of those kind of things. And, I think I mentioned it in a previous Facebook Live. What I coached them around, what I mentored them around, was taking some action. So I think quite often when people are in a space of like, there's nothing I can do, they feel hopeless, they feel powerless. And that's when you start to feel anxious, you start to feel fear or even panic. So I always talk to them about, what is something that you can do right now, personally, to change this. We can't change the external environment, but to change your own internal environment. Okay. Now, one of the other things about the laws and cycles and rhythms, and this is another thing which I think is causing potentially unconscious confusion, is that we have natural seasons. Yeah, we've got winter, and after winter comes spring, and after spring comes summer, after summer comes autumn, and then after autumn comes winter. There's an absolute certainty to that. And you know where you are in that cycle, you know where you are in that rhythm. And obviously, from an external environment perspective, then, we are in spring. We've had an unusually summery spring. I think we've had the hottest April in the UK ever since records began, which equally is a little bit confusing too. But, after winter comes spring, it's going to happen. Even in the UK, it happens. Yeah. After spring comes summer, after summer comes autumn, and after autumn comes winter. And traditionally, and still probably genetically, still probably hardwired from a biological point of view, is that we respond to those seasons. And, originally what we would have done is, we come into spring and we'd be working on the land. And in spring, if we were a farmer, then what we'd do is we'd plant the crops. And then we'd wait. And then in the summer, we would nurture those crops, because that's when the crops actually grow at their biggest rate. In fact, you might not actually see any growth at all in this period here. It's here that all of that growth takes place, and that's when we need to nurture what it is that we planted in the spring. And as we move from summer to autumn, then that's when we would harvest. That's when we would take our rewards for what we'd planted in spring and what we'd nurtured in the summer. Yeah. This is when we would actually get the rewards of this particular project or this particular endeavor that we've been doing. And then we would go into winter. Now, what's happened is that is still, from an astronomical point of view, if you like, or the workings of the solar system, etc., that is still right on track. But what's happened for many people's lives is, as we were beginning to biologically respond to coming into spring, we were put back in winter. Put back in winter for your job because you might have been furloughed, or you might have just been told to work from home, totally different cycle and rhythm. You might have a business, and at the moment, for whatever the business is, I mean, like think of like pubs, bars, that kind of thing. Then, you know, they were shut, forced into winter, closed completely. Yeah. So what happened was the world was kind of like pressed pause. I mentioned this in previous Facebook Lives about, you know, the world, the coronavirus, and I'm not going to do a cause and effect violation, but because of the situation that's happened with the coronavirus, then many people have been thrown back into winter and have believed that they've been thrown back into pause, and they've got to wait for spring when we come out of lockdown and we can press play again. So what I want to talk to you about here is, if we looked at this from an ancient perspective, you know, not that ancient though, even if just like a couple of 100 years ago, or, you know, maybe more than that, if we looked at before the Industrial Revolution, then what do people who work on the land, what do farmers do in the winter? And, you know, a lot of people do a mind read, would do a presupposition and go like, well, they've been working for 9 months out of the year. They're going to take a rest. They're going to sleep. But that's not what farmers do. Here, when it's winter, they prepare. They repair their machinery. They work on all of those kind of things. And they prepare for spring, when spring arrives, because they know that spring is going to arrive. Some years it might be a little bit later than others. Some years it might be a little bit earlier. And spring is going to arrive. And when spring arrives, they want to be ready in a really good place. So some of you, you know, if you're furloughed and you can't go to work, or they've been told you don't need to go to work, or whatever it may be, or because of the kind of business that you have, then there's no way that you can actually be flexible, which is like what Dan was talking about the night before, and what Gavin was talking about last night. You know, like as an example, Dan's business, yeah, you could start doing workouts online for people. And, you know, it's not really the kind of gym that he had. The gym that Elliot and that Louis and what's your... My mind's gone tonight. Reese, Louis, and Elliot. This is how you know this is really live, right? Because I fuck up every now and again. So Reese and Louis and Elliot, the gym that we go to, which is Body Limits in St. Albans, you know, that's a real, you've probably seen the pictures, that's a real sweat and grunt gym. There is no way they're going to do, that's a serious bodybuilder's gym. There is no way that they're going to do that online. So they're closed. There's nothing they can do. They are in winter. But that means that if you are one of those people that are in true winter, there is still something that you can do. you can work on yourself. You can prepare for spring. Now, who knows when that was? Yesterday, I was looking at the media and it was going like, oh, we're starting to think about easing down a lockdown. Yay. Then today it's like, we're not. Tomorrow it'll be like, we're probably going to start easing down a lockdown. Then the next day it'll be like, we're not. So again, you've got this massive uncertainty. It's like, yay. Oh, yay. Oh, which is tough for people. But, if you are in here in winter, this is the time to work on yourself, to develop yourself, whether that means developing physically, whether it meant developing new skills or personally developing yourself. This is the time to do it. Yeah. So that when play is pressed here, you're ready to go. Okay. Then some people like, training businesses, coaches, therapists, all of those kind of speakers, presenters, all those kind of people were put into winter. But then there was some flexibility, like I'm doing with you now, of taking the whole thing online. So were we ready immediately? No. It's taken time to actually do that and get it ready. We were in winter for a while, but now we're in spring. So, if you're one of those kind of people, in one of those kind of situations, then you can actually do something right now for planting the seeds. Get online, get on Facebook Lives, get on LinkedIn Live, get on Reddit, get on Twitter, just get online and start creating and planting seeds. Yeah. This is why, this is the biggest question that I've been asked over the last couple of weeks is, because I started doing these Facebook Lives about over a month ago when I was still out in Hawaii. And, people have been asking me, how do I do what you do? How do I get online? How do I look good? How do I sound good? How do I get guests on, live stream? How do I work with my clients? I just saw really fantastic. Elliot Wald, who's my hypnosis expert from probably about a week ago, has just put on Facebook today that he's now working with his clients live on Zoom and he's loving it. Well done, Elliot. Fantastic. Good for you. Yeah. So that's why I'm actually just launched today. Some of you might have seen it, a masterclass in just under 2 weeks' time, where I'm going to tell you exactly how I do this. Yeah. Everything. Right down to my shopping list of exactly what equipment you need. If you want to do something like this, look like this, sound like this, on social media or with your clients or doing webinars or doing masterclasses or any of those kind of things, I'm just going to give it to you all in half a day. And I just posted that out on Facebook earlier today. I will put it in one of the comments here. I would love to see you there, and I'd love to see more of you online doing stuff and embracing the new spring. The world might be in this artificial winter, but for some people, we can operate from the law of requisite variety, be flexible, and actually begin planting. Not necessarily harvesting at this point in time. I don't think that's necessarily important, but at least planting. So that then when the whole situation, the environment goes like, okay, we're on play, you're out of the gates, you're already there, people already know about you, and you can seize it, and you can nurture it, and you can harvest it really quickly. So I hope that was useful for you, just completely off the top of my head. All of these are off the top of my head, as you've probably worked out. Sorry, Reese. How did I forget a guy that big, right? And wherever you are in the world, I love you lots. And there won't be a Facebook Live from me Saturday or Sunday. We'll be back again on Monday at 1900 BST, British Summer Time, 1800 UTC. Wherever you are in the world, love you lots. Have a fantastic weekend, and ahui ho.